And we are back, and it's good vibes time. I'm Martin False, and as always, the lovely Debbie Cox DeNova is with us, and she always has great topics. And today is no different because we're going to talk about the drama triangle and how
Mhm.
to avoid it.
Yes.
And I can't wait to hear this. So, anyway, I think most guys hate drama. Do most women hate drama, or some love it?
I think that some people, out of their own trauma, are attracted to drama.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about that here today because we've talked before about attachment styles,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Secure people typically state their needs outright. They are present, they are conscious in their conversations. So typically, you're not going to find secure people in the drama triangle. However, if you belong to one of the other insecure attachment styles, which we have the avoidant and the anxious and the disorganized, you might find yourself only ever getting your needs met through the drama triangle, which is an indirect way of trying to get your needs met. You don't want to state them outright because somewhere along the line you received the message that it was unsafe to do so,
Mm-hmm.
that you might either be abandoned or your personality, your person would be dissolved. And so you approach relationship dynamics in a way that has you indirectly trying to get your needs met. And this becomes the drama triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a sort of map of human conflict that was invented by Stephen Cartman. And in the drama triangle, we have three different roles: the the villain, the
Mm-hmm.
victim, and the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, villain, victim, and hero. And what will often happen is that in the dynamics of conversation, people will change roles. They'll go from villain to victim to hero.
Mm-hmm.
But at the heart of it, everyone is vying for the role of the victim. So everybody wants the role of the victim, and that's at the end of the day what they're trying to get to. And so it's a general victim consciousness with a competitive role for that victim spot. So let's talk about the role of the hero. Now, the hero is seeking resolution, but only temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
So, as the hero in the conversation, this is the type of person that would give you a fish sandwich instead of teaching you how to fish,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're playing the hero in your own life and you've had a hard day at work, you might be mindlessly doing doom scrolling on Facebook or mindlessly watching TV or stress eating a bag of chips, right? That would be temporarily solving the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, again, remember that because we're in the drama triangle here, this is an unconscious role here. So you're not truly that there may be a feeling of superiority sometimes, like I'm the one taking care of things. But at the end of the day, with all of the styles that we're talking about, what we're saying is, I can't be okay unless you are okay. Either you do something to make yourself okay, or you do something to make me okay. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So for the hero, it feels as though like if that person is not okay, sometimes if you find yourself in the hero role a lot, it feels as though you have an over responsibility for the people in your lives. Like if they're not okay, if my child's not okay, then I'm not going to be. They need to actually do this thing, and they actually need to be this way in order for me to be okay. So you'll see a controlling dynamic there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very unhealthy way and a very enmeshed worldview to take.
See, I'm a middle child,
Okay.
so I want to make sure everybody in my family is okay.
Yes. So watch for that then,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And this is the most challenging part is being able to assess for yourself when you're in the drama triangle because
Mm-hmm.
there's an egoic thing where we don't want to feel like we are in an insecure or a dysfunctional way of
Mm-hmm.
communication. So it takes a lot of self-evaluation to go, wait, now wait a second. Whenever you find yourself in a position where you feel like your peace is disturbed and you're outsourcing the locus of control, like you're in other words saying like in order for me to be okay, they over them need to do this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're probably in the drama triangle. Okay.
Okay.
So you have the hero role, but then let's talk about the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The villain's role is to really blame. So they're also called the persecutor. Okay. So they're pointing the finger at everybody else. It's your fault. This is happening. It's your fault that I feel this way, and really kind of blame is their game. Now, you don't even actually have to have another person in this dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. You can actually be playing the role of the villain by saying like, if politics would shift a specific way, then I could be okay. Or if the economy would switch, then I would be okay. And you can have a subconscious current running from all the way back years past where you're actually, this isn't unconscious, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
this is an emotional system at work. So you could be very intellectual and very, very and be able to say, okay, I understand and identify this, but your emotional system is running a different way. And so you could have an unconscious thing that stems all the way back where it's like, okay, let's just say, for example, somebody cheated on you and your marriage fell apart. Now you're divorced, and now you've got this unconscious thing where you're like, I need this person to know that their actions destroyed my life. And so you unconsciously navigate your life in a way that you're not making good decisions for yourself. You're keeping yourself down because there's an underlying belief that if I do okay, then I'm letting this person off the hook, and then letting them know that their behavior toward me was not okay. All right. So you have to watch for that. And then of course there's the victim role. And the victim role really is like, it's not my fault. It's the, it's help me. You need to take care of me. You need to do something in order to make this okay for me. All right. So keeping in mind again that you're always, if you're in the disorganized or the anxious or the avoidant attachment style, in all likelihood, you're just switching roles within the context of relationships, whether at work, friendships, or or your romantic relationships, where you're switching roles constantly in order to get your needs met. But at the end of the day, you're looking to say, it's not my fault, it's out there, and if you guys would shift around, or if you take care of yourself, then I can be okay.
You see, every one you were describing, I was thinking of a person
Yeah,
that
yes.
fitted beautifully.
It's so easy to see outside.
Yeah, I mean, it's
right?
so easy to see, and I'm sure people that are watching are going, yeah,
Uh-huh.
Ed, Joe, Laura, Sam, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Not picking on names that I know, but I'm just saying, it's so easy to pick out.
Yeah, it really is.
And then you look at yourself and you go, and am I doing that? Am I saving somebody? Am I feeling guilty for doing it? Am I doing it? So
Exactly.
that's a pretty good topic.
You can approach it from a secure place, a place of presence where you communicate your needs or you set your boundaries in a conscious way. Or you can enter the drama triangle with them and say, oh, they told my secret, and now you can't be okay until they actually do something different. So you have to be very, very careful about every single dynamic because, like I said, it's very easy to go, oh, yeah, that's Joe, that's Mary, that, and see where they actually fit into the drama triangle. It is very difficult. It's always difficult to self-evaluate when it comes to areas that could use improvement in our communications. But the only way to have a relationship where we are present and we are productive and we're actually moving forward in a way that feels good to all parties concerned is to approach it from a secure place, which we talked about before. And what that requires is that we take 100% responsibility for our experience within the relationship. It doesn't mean that we take fault for everything. It doesn't mean that we lay down and let everything happen the way it needs to happen, but we take responsibility for our own experience. And if the other person is unwilling or unable to come to the table in a way that meets our needs in the relationship, and you feel like you're losing yourself, you're violating your own boundaries, then it's time for you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to protect my inner child basically by moving myself out of this relationship or renegotiating the relationship so that it feels like a safer place to be. So what that means is that you move out of the drama triangle. For example, if you are the hero, right, you become the coach. And so the coach is really there to support people in coming up with their own solutions and actually helping them to stand independently on their own in a way that doesn't feel like, okay, if you don't though, I'm going to resent you. I'm going to feel like I'm not okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
so if you're a villain, you move to being a challenger. And the challenger really, without blaming, without shaming, is really putting sort of a healthy pressure on people to show up for themselves in life in a way that can help them resolve their own issues, right? And then so we have the victim then becomes the creator. And the creator is, again, someone who, instead of saying, why me, poor me, things are happening to me, actually takes responsibility and starts to create their own solutions with the support of the other present.
But if you ignore the moper, I call them mopers. If you ignore the moper, it'll go away quick.
Maybe, yes, and that for sure. And so if you're in a relationship with someone who's moping, in all likelihood, they're taking the victim role, right?
Correct.
And so and what will happen is, and this is often the case, is that the dysfunctional insecure attachment styles find their way to each other, right? So you often have an avoidant with an anxious in the same relationship dynamic together. Why is that? Because the way that they got to be that way is through modeling of relationships way back to the originating event. So they don't show up to the table in a way that, so it's very vulnerable, right? To openly state my needs and say, listen, it makes me feel this way. Whenever you when you don't ever ask me anything about my own life, it makes me feel as though you don't care. And so, and it makes me feel like I'm in a really, it's inauthentic for me to show up in a way that I'm pretending to be happy when I don't feel like this is a reciprocal relationship, right? That's a vulnerable place to be, to say, listen, I'm feeling this way in a relationship. Like, how can we resolve it together? Or is there something that we can do to resolve it? It's different from expectations. A lot of people think
But
that.
in a big family, I'm from a big family, every sibling knows the other one's weakness and strength.
Yeah.
But over the years, as you get older, you tend to avoid them.
Yeah.
Don't hit the trigger.
Yeah.
But everybody knows everybody's done. Every big family out there, if you don't have this, you're lying to me. Yeah.
That's exactly
so you
right.
just gotta know the boundaries.
You know the boundaries, and also you recognize that everybody gets triggered. And so feeling your feelings responsibly is a really powerful thing. So rather than tiptoeing around each other, it's being able to have conscious conversations whenever you're not in a triggered place, because it's really difficult once you get triggered, right, to have those conversations. But just say, listen, I'm aware that, like, whenever you when you turn your back on me when we're in an argument, when you walk away, I feel as though I'm being neglected. My emotional needs are being neglected. And this will happen oftentimes, by the way. An avoidant will do that to an anxious, right? So two people together, an avoidant feels when there's some sort of disruption in the relationship, some sort of conflict, I got to move away because this might be the cost of my own personality, and I can't deal with that. That's dysregulating. But they move away. The anxious feels abandoned by that, and so the anxious starts going after them and says, like, and so there's a
They
fight.
want resolvement.
Right. So being able to consciously say, I'm aware that when you walk away in arguments that I feel this way, and how can we work toward a resolution together, is a vulnerable place to be, but it's also a resolution like that both people are coming together to solve.
We had this group discussion not long ago. And the number one word that everybody said sets them off when their partner says this. You know what it was?
Right.
Whatever.
Oof, dismissive.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a dismissive kind of thing, and it's not a secure, present way to
Mm-hmm.
communicate. It's not a conscious way to communicate. It pokes at the other person's
It's
triggers.
a jab. It's a jab.
Right? And so being able to come to a mature place where both people feel seen and heard and safe within the relationship requires a bit of vulnerability and consciousness, and it requires honesty about where you might be stepping into the drama triangle on a regular basis and going outside of your comfort zone into a place where you can actually connect with people.
Great show, Debbie. We're going to see you next week.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Don't go away.